My name is Junior. I live in a big and wonderful place, and I live with my mom and my dad. They're my heroes. They've always taken care of me. But it never always used to be so happy. I went through a really scary ordeal, and this is my story. It all started on the day when I woke up, and I was so happy to go play. My mom and dad weren't anywhere in sight, but I know that they usually wake up before me so they can go out and have some alone time. Ew. And also to feed me, get some food, and bring it back home. During that time, I'm able to go anywhere that I want to go, and I can play and I can explore, but mom and dad just said not to go too far away from the nest. It was really scary at first because these weird things came by with very sharp claws, and they were really smart, and they wanted to kill me. But after mom and dad caught one of them and threw them at the others, they never came back. They were too afraid of my mom and dad. Mom and dad said they knew of a time way before I was born where something called humans would capture them and try to control them. So mom and dad always told me to keep a lookout for anything that looked like a walking tree with 2 legs and very straight long arms and a very small head. I always try to listen to mom and dad because I know that they're very wise and they've always kept me safe. But I'm not afraid of anything because I know if anything messes with me, they're gonna get it. Well, on that particular day, I went a little bit farther than I was supposed to, and if mom and dad knew, they wouldn't be too happy. And I saw something wicked. All these huge things with very loud voices came from the sky, and they were running across the ground. And as I looked closely, I could see that there were those tree-looking things with the 2 long legs and very straight arms and the small head. And I realized that were probably the humans mom and daddy were talking about. I was kind of scared, but I was also really excited. I started running towards the area, and I was really happy because now I could see them up close and personal. I've never seen them before. Suddenly I fell, and then something stepped up behind me. I heard something breathing on my back, and I was so afraid. I tried to get up and run, but it knocked me back down again and rolled me over into my back. I thought I was gonna die, and then when I looked up, I saw that it was my dad. Wow, he was such a stinker. He would always play pranks on me. He laughed, and then he said,
"See, you would have been dead already. This is exactly the reason why your mom and I don't want you leaving the nest. What are you doing out here?"
"Dad, I see them. I see the humans that you were talking about. They look really cool. What are they doing?" My dad sighed because he didn't want me feeling too happy about the humans being here.
"They're causing destruction. It's what they always do. This is not a game, Junior. You have to watch out for them. Head back to the nest, now."
"But what are you gonna do?" My dad had stooped down low to face me, and then he told me something I'll never forget.
"Junior, do you love your mom?"
"Of course I love Mama."
"Do you want her to worry? Do you want her to not be safe?"
"No, Dad, I want to keep Mama safe."
"Okay. Well, do you know what happens when you venture away from the nest? Your mom gets really worried, and she leaves to go to dangerous places to make sure that you're not there. And when she goes to those places, she puts herself in danger. Do you want anything to happen to your mother?"
I hung my head down because this made me feel bad. I didn't realize that by doing that I was putting Mom in danger. "No, Dad, I don't."
"Good. And you love me?"
"Of course, Dad."
"Do you want anything to happen to me? Because if your mom goes out to look for you and she's in danger, I'm going to go out to look for her and for you, and I'm going to be in danger. Do you want that to happen?"
"No, Dad."
"All right, son. I know that you're curious and you want to explore. There's nothing wrong with that. But you have to do that when we're around. You're not old enough to take care of yourself right now. It is what it is. You understand?"
"Yes, Dad."
"All right. Don't let me tell you again. Head back to the nest."
And with that, I listened to my dad because, as I said before, my dad and Mom were really wise. I don't know where Mom was, but I knew that she was okay. She was never too far away from Dad. My parents are really cool because they're like best friends. I've seen other parents, and they're really cool too, and they love each other, but they seem to be acting it. My parents are actually really good friends too, and I think that's nice. So I went back to the nest, and I played there. But I'd be lying if I said it wasn't really boring, because I really wanted to go and see the humans. And if Dad was out there, I don't know why I couldn't be out there with him, but I trusted my dad, so I listened to him. That evening, my friend Aloe came over, and he's a really good friend of mine, but we weren't exactly the same, even though our parents looked similar, but his were a little smaller with two crests on their heads. So we were playing at my nest, and then we heard a strange noise. He told me that he had seen the humans up close, but they didn't see him, and he invited me to come with him. He said that the noise was probably the humans, because they were going all over the island and abducting other dinosaurs like us. Come on, Junior, you have to come. This is only going to happen every once in a while, and if you don't take advantage of it, you're going to miss out on an opportunity. Yeah, but my dad said that I can't. Oh, come on, your dad will understand. Yeah, you might get in trouble, but you'll still have the experience though, won't it? I can't. I'll get in trouble, and I don't want my parents to not trust me. Although Aloe looked disappointed, he never made fun of me for listening to my parents. He knew that we had a really great relationship, and he knows that I respect them and they love me very much. But I don't blame him because he did have a point. He said he was gonna leave, but then he looked back at me. You know, I don't want to overstep your parents and anything like that, but you're actually probably more in danger staying here in the nest alone than out there with them. Just saying. Well, I don't know about that. My dad and my mom know what they're doing. Alright, well, I'm gonna go explore. See ya. Bye. I really didn't want Aloe to go because it was getting really dark and I felt really alone and mom and dad weren't back yet, but I know that sometimes they stay a little bit longer, but with the humans around, it made me feel a little bit skeeved out. So I stayed in my nest and I took a nap. It's all I could do. Otherwise, I was seriously thinking about following Aloe's advice. When I woke up, there was a chunk of meat in front of me, so I guess my parents had come back from before. I didn't hear them, which was really weird, but I guess I was really tired. So I started chomping down on the meat. Might as well eat. Mom and Dad always told me to eat meat as soon as possible because the meat can go bad, and when it starts to smell funny, it tastes fermented. But not just that, it also attracts other scarier animals. It didn't feel like I was napping very long until I heard something coming towards me. I thought it was Mom and Dad at first, and then I realized that it wasn't because what was coming towards me sounded a lot smaller than Mom and Dad. The other thing is when my mom and dad were approaching the nest, especially at nighttime, they would have a code word, big face, to let me know that it was them. Even though I know the way they sound when they walk, still, sometimes mistakes could happen. And it's happened before when a few other nestlings were sitting alone in their nest minding their own business, thinking their parents were coming back, and it was actually some big monster predator or something. Of course, in that situation, the monster predator was my mom or my dad, and that made them realize that these other things that we ate were not that smart. So they decided, just in case something like that would happen to them, that they would use that as a way to protect us. If mom and dad were at home and I was away for a little bit, I would do the same thing too. So when I didn't hear the code word, I got really scared. Plus, it sounded very small, but the way these things were walking in the brush didn't sound like anything that I knew of. I got terrified because I thought maybe they were humans. After a short while, the noise stopped. I listened, and then nothing. I buried my face in my food. I was enjoying my food so much that I totally zoned out. I looked up and saw two rocks that I didn't notice before. Weird noises were coming from them, but I wasn't sure at the time if the noises were real or not. The nest I was in was surrounded by night sounds. I looked at them for a moment, and for a moment they moved. At least I thought they did. I watched them intently and realized they were two small animals just sitting there, probably waiting to steal some of my food. Mom and Dad told me about creatures like those. They weren't attacking, so I just kept eating as fast as I could. Mom and Dad were never too far away, so even if they were gone long, I wasn't worried. Aloe and my dad scared me a little with the human story, but I was confident that my parents would keep me safe at all costs. I was getting so full, so I stopped eating, and when I looked up, I saw the two small animals rising up. And I realized that they were not two small animals. They were actually bigger animals, and what I'd been looking at was their heads. Their bodies were the same color as the rocks they were hiding behind. Staring at their proportions, I realized that they were humans. Long arms, legs, standing like trees, and small heads. I tried to scream, but before I could really say or do anything, one of them, the bigger one, ran up to me and hit me really hard. I was dizzy for a while until everything went black. I'm only a few weeks old, and so a lot of experiences are foreign to me. My parents have always kept a very close eye on me, and while the other offspring had been taken away from their nests and almost killed, and some of them have been hurt very bad to the point where they almost died, none of that's ever happened to me. There I was, however, being carried away by two of these things. I couldn't move my arms or my legs. I felt stuck. The two humans dropped me on the floor in front of a third one. It was making a weird noise. It sounded like laughing, or at least a human version of a laugh. Nothing was funny to me, though. They seemed to be conversing with one another. Why weren't they killing me? Usually things that steal nestlings eat them. Maybe they were waiting to feed me to their offspring, too. Maybe they were the offspring, because I don't know how big humans actually get. Where was Mom and Dad? I tried to cry, but my head was still very wobbly, and so my cry came out very silent. They all turned to face me, and just like that, a loud noise sounded very far away. I don't know what it was, but all of them jumped, and the third human let out a funny sound. It scared me. The third human, the smallest of them, was so frightened that he stumbled backwards straight towards me. With all his weight, he fell straight on my leg. I felt a sharp pain and a tiny snap. I wailed so loud I thought my insides would turn black. All of them put their dirty paws over my mouth to stop me from making noise. Where was my mom and dad? In that moment, it was the first time I felt like they'd abandoned me. The humans untied my legs and fastened the rest of my body to the cold ground. I couldn't move, and my right side was getting sore. I cried because the pain in my leg was unbearable. It hurt so bad that I wanted to cry even more. My side was cramped up, and so I cried even more. My mom and dad were gone, so I cried even harder. I tried to sleep to escape the pain, maybe. I couldn't. Every time I became too sleepy, the pain made me wake up again. I felt so alone, and I felt like no one was ever going to come and save me. Just as I thought that, my friend Aloe came back. Junior, I heard you screaming. What happened to you? Who did this to you? I tried to stop crying, but the tears kept flowing. It was the humans. I don't think they went very far. That's ridiculous. If they did that, then why aren't you dead? That's a good question, Aloe. Do you think you can help me? Aloe looked very scared. He kept on looking around as if the humans were going to catch him at any moment, too. Aloe, what's wrong? You have to help me. Where is your mom and dad? I don't know, but I'm in so much pain. Please just help me get up, and then we can find my parents together. Aloe is someone that I've always considered to be my best friend, and I know that he's a good person. So when he said what I'm about to tell you, I didn't hold it against him. No offense, Junior, but if your parents are not back yet, that means that the humans got them. Your parents are both strong and even stronger together as a team, and if the humans can easily catch them, I'm no match, and I have to think about my family. But we can protect each other, I said, pleading with him. No, we can't. You can't even protect yourself, mate. I'm not going to put my family in danger to save you. I'm sorry, man. And with that, he left. The loneliness that I felt even grew bigger right after that. I don't remember much because shortly after that I passed out. When I woke up again, I was in excruciating pain. This time I lay there for quite a while until I heard the humans coming back, but it wasn't the same ones that had captured me from before. These ones were different, and I thought they were going to hurt me, but they didn't. They freed me and picked me up and carried me away from that place. They probably heard me crying. Maybe it's a good thing they did. But I didn't trust them because my father and mother told me that all humans were bad. They took me inside a strange object and had many stars inside of it. I'm not lying. I was scared out of my wits. I was convinced they killed my parents. It's the only explanation as to why my mom and dad were nowhere to be seen or heard, because I don't want to believe that they would leave me. They wouldn't. I know my mom and dad. They stuck something in my skin that felt sharp and painful, and then the pain started to fade, like even in my leg. I began to feel sleepy. Even though I was sleepy, I was still aware of what was going on around me. The humans sounded much lower and moved slower than before. Everything was. They were touching me all over, and I had no idea why. They were going to eat me. I knew it. I tried to keep calm. My dad always told me that if I ever ended up in a situation where I faced the enemy, I should not show fear. I didn't do so well today, but I really tried. I closed my eyes, and I felt as though I was going to die, or at least I think so, because I don't know what dying would actually feel like, but maybe this would be it. For a while, I didn't know whether it was morning or night. Then I heard a noise. It sounded like my mom. Junior, my baby, I'm here. Mama? Mama, is that you? Why did you leave me? I never left you, Junior. I've been protecting you this whole morning. The humans were getting closer to our nest, and so your dad and I had to go our separate ways to distract them. There were 2 packs of them. We went far. We came back and found that you were gone, but we never once left you, my son. I promise you. We've been fighting to protect you this whole time. I'm so sorry this is happening to you, but we're gonna save you. I promise. And everyone's gonna pay for what they did to you. I knew it. I knew it. I knew my mom would save me. Suddenly, my whole body started shaking very vigorously. And I opened my eyes. At least, maybe they were already open. But when I looked and focused on what was directly in front of me, past the human's arm, I saw a familiar face. Wait a minute. It's my mom. It's my mom. I could hear my dad's voice too.
Son? Son! He's alive. He's alive. I told you he's alive. He's strong.
Dad? Was this really happening? I was really confused because the sleepiness felt like I was dreaming, but like I wasn't dreaming. I could hear my parents' voice get louder. Everything was kind of muffled out before, but now I could hear their voices and I could focus on their voices, but I couldn't move my mouth. I wanted to scream, I wanted to yell and tell them, save me, but my mouth wouldn't open wide enough. Something was keeping it shut. Suddenly, the humans touched my face, and just like that, my voice was back again. I let out a loud cry. I told my parents how much I missed them and I loved them and I wanted them to save me. And I could hear their heavy footfalls following me as the humans were carrying me to somewhere. Although they were carrying me away, I knew it. But before I could really process what was going on, I felt the air on my face again with the water falling on it. And I saw my mom. I was so happy. Baby. The humans put me down and I ran to my mom. Well, I tried to run. It felt like my body didn't really belong to me. But I ran to my mom and she gave me a big hug and she kissed me and I realized she was real. My father came around too and he hugged me as well. My parents were here. I was safe. And it wasn't a dream. I don't think it was, because the water made me wake up more and I realized that everything was going to be okay. I was so happy. Right away, my mom and dad took me to the forest.
Junior, you hurt? I smell blood on you. Are you okay?
One of the humans hurt my leg, but I feel better now. I don't know what they did, but I feel okay.
Are you sure?
My parents were looking me over and smelling me all over. My dad took me up in his mouth and he carried me away. I guess he saw that I was having problems walking. Then they took me far enough away from that weird thing that the humans took me inside and put me down on the top of a hill mound.
Junior?
Yes, Dad?
Stay here. I promise you, we're going to be right over there. We're not going to leave you. You understand? Don't go anywhere.
Okay, Dad, I promise.
Don't worry, my son. We're going to make sure they never mess with you again.
My parents always had this loving look in their eyes when they looked at me. But then they looked at each other. They looked really scary. Then they looked back at the thing the humans were inside. And then they took off, charging towards them. I actually was afraid. I was so glad that they were my parents, because if I were the humans, I would have been terrified. And I watched as my mom and dad beat that thing up with the humans inside. They were so strong, they were fearless together, and they started pushing it over the cliff. They showed them. I knew that I was safe. I knew that from now on, I would never have to worry about my parents leaving me. I knew they loved me. I heard a weird buzzing noise coming towards me. I tried to hide. I know my parents told me to stay where I was, but there's no harm in going into the bushes. And I saw this weird thing fly by with very bright stars on the front of it. It looked kind of like that thing that the humans took me inside, but a smaller version of it. And my parents had already been coming back because I guess they heard the noise too. It stopped in front of the bigger thing, and one of the humans got out of it. Why would humans use these weird things, and how were they able to move so fast inside of them? It's like rocks with rocks on the bottom of them that help them roll along. It was very strange, and it made me more afraid of the humans, but also a little bit curious as to how stuff like that worked. My parents saw it too, and they stopped coming back towards me because they realized I wasn't in any danger, but they wanted to finish the job, so they went back towards the thing. They realized it was another human trying to help the others, or at least I think so. These humans, they were relentless. They went up to the human, and I saw that my mom and dad reached their head inside the thing, but I didn't really see what happened. But I heard the screams of the human. Oh yeah, that's that telltale scream all right. When mom and dad dish out their judgment, that's the scream that every prey makes. And then it stopped as quickly as it started. After that, I watched that smaller roly thing and the bigger thing that the humans had me inside go straight over the cliff. That's it. The humans were defeated. My mom and dad came strolling back towards me. They rubbed each other's noses and kissed each other. And they looked at me and smiled. I was so happy. My mom and dad were awesome. I heard them talking as they were coming back, saying that they had to secure the whole area and that it wasn't over until all the humans were gone or killed. I looked up at my dad. He was so strong and so cool. And I looked up at my mom with all her muscles and her large body. She was so amazing. I love you, Mom and Dad. They looked down at me, they smiled, and they licked my face. We're not going to let anything happen to you, you understand? Yes, Mom. So, that's my story so far, and everything is fine at the moment, but I know that it's not over, because there are a lot of humans still on our home turf, and my mom and dad are going to take care of it. I know as long as my mom and dad are around, those humans don't stand a chance.